Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Dungeons & Dragons because we're playing it on the channel. We've been playing it for the last 4 months, although I think only about 3 months has gone up so far. So I always keep about 4 weeks in hand, just in case anything happens, like we can't record for a week, or somebody's away, or we go on holiday, or something. So I've been playing it with James, Chantel, Nick, and Alex. And it's kind of interesting because I've known James and Chantel for many years. Nick grew up basically in the house next door to us, and Alex is my little brother. And my part in all of this, I'm the dungeon master. So I'm playing a little bit of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons with them. And because I don't like to do things kind of in a boring way, I threw in a little bit of Cybernet, OGL Cybernet. So OGL Cybernet is a D20, kind of like based on D20 Modern. It's by Mongoose Publishing, and apparently we were about to crash into a wall. I don't know where. The car thought we were, though. Oh, this is St. Ives, by the way. We're going down into the town. Isn't that fun? A little bit of Cyberpunk 2020, so that's Artelosian Games' Cyberpunk 2020. And if you've been keeping up with the news, Cyberpunk 2020 is in fact being turned into a game by the same people who did The Witcher 3, whose name, CD Projekt Red. Why did the car decide it wanted to do a little bit of a slidey boy there? Curious and more curious. I think there's a lot of sand on the road. Basically, Storm Alex has rolled into town, and there is sand, there's debris, there's all manner of stuff all over the place. So it's a little bit tricky. I had to clean all the glass because it was all covered in salt. We're just stopped here in this lovely granite area because there's a bus trying to go down into town, and probably something trying to come the other way. I don't know what, so we might be here for a while. So, Dungeons and Dragons, running it as a DM. Yeah, I've DM'd Cybernet before, which is kind of an interesting thing. We did it probably 13 years ago with another group of friends. James and Alex and Nick were there for that, and it's fairly straightforward. You come up with a bunch of bullet points before the match starts, before the session starts. The match, wow, okay. I've been playing video games for a little bit too long. Speaking of video games, as we go down here, what's called Sand Cornwall used to be an internet cafe, and that's where I used to work at one point. So we're going to try and go into town. This is going to be terrible because there are people walking all over the place. I don't know if we're going to be able to make it, but I figured you guys would want to see the harbour, so let's try this. Fortunately, we're following the ford. I can't even pronounce what it's called, so this will be interesting. Yeah, so the reason I mentioned Dungeons and Dragons is because I throw in a lot of film references into my D&D campaigns, and some of them are obvious and some of them are not. So one of the NPCs that everyone has been playing with for the past 4 months is called Lillian. And Lillian is deliberately named so because I named her after Lillian Gish, the 1930s film star, friend of Helen Hayes. Helen Hayes, everyone's grandmother during every film in the 80s. Not to be confused with Jessica Tandy of Cocoon and Bachelor's Not Included fame. The other film references, they went to Hadler's Hope, which is an abandoned town. I needed a quick name for an abandoned village, and Hadler's Hope seemed to come up. It was a good name for the town. So that is obviously from Aliens. They can't hear me because we're on silent mode at the moment, so pedestrians are kind of trying to step out in front of the car. I also forgot about the cobblestones, but this is St. Ives Harbour. So if you ever wanted to know what St. Ives Harbour in Cornwall, England looked like, this is it. Unfortunately, the tide is out. Fortunately, the tide is out because Storm Alex is still beating the waves up against the harbour wall, so that's fun. Another film reference. So In Dungeons and Dragons, everyone went to a town called Straylight, and Straylight is actually from the Villa Straylight in the book Neuromancer by William Gibson. So you'd have actually read a book for that one. It's not necessarily a film reference. Seagull in the road. And again, because it's battery powered, people can't hear me coming. Or, well, they can see me usually after I've run over their toes. So this is fun. The town was not meant for cars. There are a lot of other references. So all the ships that the party have travelled on, so they have been on the Terror, which was an exploration ship. Is actually like an Arctic exploration ship, a polar exploration ship that did exist. They are currently on the Renown, another exploration ship that did exist. They have been on the Endeavour, which is an exploration ship that did exist. So everything kind of is of, everything exists. Everything has a reference in the real world. Outbound traffic, so we have to cut back through the butt end of St Ives. Don't own a car if you live in St Ives, although if you do live in St Ives you're probably loaded anyway, because all of these houses cost several millidongs, whatever your currency is. I prefer to call the currency dong, which is probably Vietnamese currency. Please don't step in front of my car. I don't want to use the horn. I could do a beepy boy, but you would be upset. So, okay. We'll just try not to scrape ourselves. Oh, this is all granite, by the way. Although one of my favourite houses in St Ives is coming up, and it's this one with the ivy on it. I love this house. It's probably one of the few brick houses around here, and it is beautiful. I love it. It's delightful. Again, something I would never be able to afford, especially not on what YouTube's paying me, which is a grand total of bugger all, because they don't pay me at all. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the sea. I can over the wall. You can hear the wind though. That is Storm Alex coming in off the Atlantic. So that is Storm Alex just beating the beach down there. The sea is white. It is white and it's green. Apparently the green comes from the granite flakes in the water. So whenever I've taken a picture of Cornwall, in fact I took a picture the other day. I was standing on Hale Beach and I took a picture towards the lighthouse. I could only get one shot because the salt covered the lens after that. But yeah, the water is actually green around here, and that's because of granite apparently. So we're driving out of St Ives. Excellent. Oh, that's new. That wasn't there last time I was down here. They've been building. So yeah, a lot of film references in our D&D campaign. Carrigan Moor, the town that they find themselves in, is not a film reference, but within it there are other film references. So things like the L train. This is a bit of a steep hill. There is an L train that they're standing underneath, and the L train is actually pulled by horses in the D&D campaign. I don't know if anyone got that. It's a carriage that runs basically an elevated train like they used to have in Manhattan and places around there. But in Carrigan Moor, in Dungeons and Dragons, it is pulled by horses. That idea came from the Warriors, because of course it did. Oh, go, may as well go. Go, please go. There's a lot of traffic just kind of stalled here, so I just flashed one through. May as well be polite because no one's going anywhere fast. So we're now leaving. This is the top end of St Ives. The houses are still kind of look the same, I guess. Outbound traffic. So we're going to end up in the place that we were probably in the last vlog. Wow, everything comes round. Cool. And there's a sports centre they built on top of the hill. You didn't need to know that. They built a sports centre on top of the hill. So yeah, a lot of references, a lot of film references, book references, sci-fi references, and I love throwing them in, not because it's easy, but because sometimes people might find them and go, ooh, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, so if you're running a D&D campaign and you happen to be the dungeon master, Well, it's these little things that, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go left. I'm gonna go back into town. Why do things the easy way when we can do things the hard way? Oh, those things we just drove over are flood defenses. The town is built on a hill, but what happens is, because it's all granite and very thin soil, when it rains very hard, the water just floods straight down the hill. So those things are designed to take out water section by section and pump it under the streets. Unless someone forgets to turn the pumps on, which they did the first year they were installed, and the town floods, because that's what's happened several times. Speaking of film references, the old cinema in blue. It is an Art Deco cinema owned by the Merlin Group, and it is falling apart. It is one of the great tragedies. They should spend a lot of money on it. I would spend money on it if I owned a cinema, and just kind of restore it to how it should look. I am going to stop here because, well, this guy has right of way, as does that guy down there. Unfortunately, you can't tell who's coming around this corner because it is blind, and apparently this is all being regenerated. So I don't know who's owning this. Do a little indicate and a little drive up. But fortunately, the bus came down with us, so we'll just stop here, I guess. Oh yeah, I'm going to stop here and let these lads come down. This looks a little bit narrow, even for a modern smart car. Okay. Oh, is everyone coming down? Yeah, bring the whole family. Okay. I'm gonna go after this lad. He did not like me stopping, but then he's in a taxi, and I don't actually care because it gets narrow through here. And my car is wide and expensive, and I do not want to be tearing it up on the granite curbstones. So, the sea, from what you can see of it. Oh, can we get through here? I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. Who dares wins. Oh, wait. We did it. Good. So film references in Dungeons and Dragons. There are a lot more of them. I haven't covered them all, but there's a few that you might not have got. I'm going to go around this lad who's parked on double yellow. It's great. And then remember that this is in fact a junction, and try not to get our side taken out. So, good. Excellent. I'm going to leave it there. That was Knives, that was D&D, just a little brief chat about that, but on a Saturday afternoon, apparently this place gets super busy. And it's also not very car friendly, so there's a thing. Oh, one last thing. I did notice that my skin is a little red. That's not because I'm embarrassed to be on camera. That's wind burn and salt rash from yesterday. Yeah. When you live in a marine environment, one of the things that you've got to be aware of is the fact that you might get a lot of wind burn, but the salt and the sand beating your skin as you're walking along the coast. I don't know if it's good for it, whether it clears your pores, or whether it's bad for it because you end up looking like a beetroot. I'm kind of in two minds either way. Oh, by the way, all these trees around here, trees are kind of valuable resource in Cornwall because there's not too many of them. And every time developers come in and start cutting them down, everyone gets really upset. That's an aside. I'm going to leave it here. So, if you like these videos, definitely leave a little like, leave a subscribe, and if you do subscribe, click the little bell because that'll give you notifications when videos go live. And I'll tell you what, I'll catch you next time as I pull in here to turn the camera off because it's unsafe to do it while I'm moving. Good.